Thank you. Let me just start by saying a big thank you to you all for joining us at this session. For the next 25 minutes, you're going to hear from Giacomo and myself around their use of Duro, but more importantly around King.com's security posture, what's important to them. So fortunately for you guys, you're going to hear a lot about King and how they protect themselves and not too much from the vendor. But before we get into that, I wonder whether I could just ask you to raise your hands if you've heard of Duro before. So hands up if you've heard of Duro before. 2 people. The others haven't heard of Duro. What I'd like to encourage you to do, if you could spare 2 minutes, come and see us at booth 240, and I think you'll be pleasantly surprised by what you see. We've got some great tech. You'll hear from our customer here, Giacomo, about that tech, but it'll take you 2 minutes just to come and have a look at Duro. Please do that. There's beers on the stands as well, which is good. So without further ado, let me introduce Giacomo. Giacomo's the Director of Information Security at King. King.com, of course, make Candy Crush, so a highly dynamic company. You'll hear more about that from Giacomo. But they sort of stumbled on Duro, and I think it would be interesting for you to hear how they use Duro and what their experience has been. So Giacomo, over to you. Thank you.
Thank you. Can you hear me all right? Cool. Right, so who is King? Well, King is mainly known for Candy Crush, which came out in 2013, but actually the company was around from 2003. We do entertainment, we do mobile games. We have customers in 200 countries and more than 300 monthly unique users. Well, we are growing still. We are 2,000 employees now, and our revenues are pretty stable, it's around the 2 billion mark. When I joined King and we started the security team almost from scratch, we were looking to secure our perimeter with a special focus on our VPN solution, which was using either username and password, or we had another kind of more secure VPN using certificates that was really difficult to manage. So we were looking to something better, right? And so the 3 main reasons were secure the perimeter, compliance, and getting something better than passwords, right? At that time, for instance, we were not a public company. We didn't have any requirements in terms of password expiration or complexity. So we wanted to quickly address that in a way that so that our user don't hate us. That's really important. King is a really agile environment where people are empowered to take decisions, and they manage their own device. They have lots of privileges, and we wanted to establish this mutual relationship where they could understand what we were trying to do, and we could understand their needs. So we came up with a number of requirements. Multi-platform software tokens. In King, we don't have a standard hardware for employees. You can pick your own device. Can be a Mac, can be a Linux, or can be a Dell server, or a Windows. And same for phones, can be whatever available there. Also, maybe you don't want to use a software token, maybe you want a real token, or maybe you want to receive a call, or maybe you want to receive an SMS. And we wanted an open platform. So, for instance, in my team, the security team, when we evaluate a new product, the first thing we look beside the core capabilities, the API. So because we do everything through the API, we have embedded developers in our team, and we integrate everything. So for us, that was really, really important. And finally, we had experience with RSA and Vasco, and I mean, they are good products, but they both have some pitfalls, and we were looking to choose something better if available. And we stumbled into Duo, right? Which we didn't know before, and we like it. We like it a lot. So at that time we were mainly working on. We had two main applications we wanted to protect. Our VPN based on F5, and F5 was there for historical reason, and it's a. I mean, it's a platform which is kind of complex to manage, but provide lots of capabilities. At that time, we were using it with Google Authentication, Google Authenticator for two-factor, and well, we tried that, and we had to implement a custom server for provisioning and emergency access, and that caused lots of problems. Also, the user experience was not that great. Google Apps. So we use Google Apps, and at that time we were using a lot Google Drive for file storage, and we wanted to find a secure way to access cloud applications like Google over the internet. Just going back a bit on these previous slides, now we have like at least 25 applications integrated with Duo through our identity management stack, and and that was one of our core objectives. King is a really agile environment, and I'm not an agile practitioner, but I appreciate the fact that it's difficult to do a 2-year plan or 1-year plan in a company that is evolving really quickly, and you don't know what's coming up next month. So we really wanted something that allowed us to adapt to what's coming up next, and I think we've been successful there. So, I mean, there are a number of key values that our users and we recognize. Our end users like a lot the push notification. So, after you input username and password, you will receive a push notification to your phone, and you will be able to accept or deny the access request. And in case you don't have coverage, you can use SMS or phone call, or you can even generate offline codes to access. Also, this policy is configurable, so we could allow or not, depending on the user or the circumstance. This is part of the flexibility of the platform. So, wide variety of authentication methods, many platforms supported. User-focused, and I think this is the most important thing for us. We had to sell two-factor, right, to our organization, and we are still doing that. Our objective is to have two-factor everywhere, especially from outside the organization, but we want to also have two-factor to protect all critical applications, even inside the network. And in order to achieve that, we need to get users buy-in. Otherwise, users will try everything to bypass you or to find alternative ways, right? We are talking also with system owners that they could play against us. Instead, they like the tool, right? And that for us is the most important thing. It's an easy sell. For administration perspective, the total cost of ownership is pretty competitive, and you can't forget to having it because it just works, and then I mean it's pretty amazing in that sense. Also, for instance, they set moving from, let's say, a simple architecture to HA or really distributed architecture is pretty straightforward. It's interoperable, so it supports open protocols and have a really powerful API. So it allows you to integrate it with many different solutions, both from in terms of authentication or access, but also logs management, administration management. You can do lots of stuff through the API. Easy deployment. We literally deployed this in 20 minutes on a really basic way, right? But then we managed to expand the setup to make sure we geographically we covered the whole, we have offices all over the world, right? And we wanted to provide optimal performance and redundancy across the globe. Right. So, in short, I think we've been looking at different solution for authentication. We've been setting up our identity stack from scratch, and we wanted to get best of breed products for old areas like user identity propagation, single sign-on, Duo, two-factor, and with Duo we really found a great partner that allows us to provide a great experience to our users.
Hear me? So I've literally got 5 slides by way of an introduction to Duro, but in terms of characterizing what our customers are like, I think Giacomo did it perfectly. Sophisticated users, often that don't want to be interrupted by a security product, in dynamic environments that are fast moving and growing, often global. Those are the sorts of customers that approach Duro and tend to find Duro. By way of a little bit of background, we have over 5,000 customers. King is a great example, but customers like Facebook, Twitter. We have over 700 customers in Europe. Many of those customers found Duro before we were actually in Europe and tested the product themselves and got themselves up and running in minutes, as Giacomo said. We also support over 200 different sorts of integrations. So whether that's cloud apps, Office 365, many varieties of VPN, many varieties of Windows tools. If you have an application that you need to integrate to 2FA, Duro make it incredibly easy for you. In fact, all our documentation is online. So if you need to integrate to anything within Duro, you simply look online and you can get access to the documentation on how to do that. We have over 2 million certifications daily through servers in Ireland, Germany and the US. And obviously customers across 78 or more countries. Why are customers coming to Duro? Again, I think Giacomo sort of characterized it really well actually. Most of the customers that approach Duro have an environment that they can't control. They have users spinning up cloud applications, administrators doing the same. They have users bringing their own devices into the operation. Plus they're managing stuff on premise. And in that really complex environment, making security really, really easy to use and allowing users to be secure in a seamless way is incredibly important. So with Duro, all of the form factors are supported, whether it's biometrics, SMS, phone call, even the watch. You can support two-factor through that. And as I've already said, out-of-the-box integrations to all the apps you could choose. And it's as simple as 1, 2, 3. Use your first factor, get a push, authenticate or deny, and then you're into the application, and it's really, really that quick. And I've had a number of companies come up to the stand over the last couple of days and say, I've got sophisticated users and they're all bypassing two-factor. And it's because typically those two-factor solutions that they're using are difficult to use. You know, copying a passcode from one to the other 10 times as you log into the administration console, that's ridiculous. Let's make it easy for the users and they won't bypass what you're doing. Added to that, because our solution's built for today, we can also look at what's on the device and provide security around that. So, are you using the most secure version of Java? Is the phone jailbroken? Does it have passcodes on it? And based upon that, you can define your security policies to ensure that you're as secure as you possibly can be. And again, we have lots of companies that tell us that they manage all their devices, and when we switch our platform version on and ask to look at those devices with them, they're surprised to have many jailbroken devices, many devices that don't have biometrics in place. We even had one customer in the past week who had Windows Vista machines logging into their environment that they didn't know about. So with Duo you can get two-factor, you can protect your cloud and on-premise apps, you can ensure your security controls are in place, and you can customize those policies for that use case that you need to. So I need one security posture for my marketing department, I need another for the finance department, and you define those rules around your security needs. And I've said we're completely transparent. Our costing is online. But the most important thing, and I encourage everybody to do this, go try it for free. 10 users is absolutely free. If you can get up and running in 20 minutes, give it a go, you'll be pleasantly surprised. And my last ask is please, if you don't know Duro, come and see us at stand B240. We can do a demonstration in 2 minutes, and you really will be pleasantly surprised by what you see. Thank you for your time. Does anybody have any questions? I know it's the end of the day. Probably for Giacomo. I mean, he made the bold claim we were integrated within 20 minutes. Any questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you. So, was there anything that you did not like during that 20-minute installation or deployment? Anything that you wanted to see improved?
Well, I'm trying to think, right? Because I'm thinking, comparing to other products, what we didn't like. I mean, we started with Duo really early, I think, in 2014, right? And I think you were a really young company at that time. And maybe I can remember, I don't know, some small issues at that time. But I have to say that from 2015 on, has been we didn't register any incident with the platform. So it's really the only thing I can remember. Maybe one thing. I'm a Linux guy, and if you want certain type of integration, you have to install the radius, the internal component on a Windows server. I personally, I'm not a fan, but that's me, right? That's the only thing I can think about.
Thank you for the honesty.
Yeah.
There's another question at the front here.
Our organization already have physical tokens used by our users.
So, sorry.
1 second, let me get the headphones.
Our organization already has physical tokens used by users, and we don't want to ask 10,000 users to change their habits. Is it possible to use already existing tokens with your solution?
So the question was, is it possible to use existing tokens? The answer is absolutely yes. You can reuse the tokens that you've got very easily. And we have a number of customers that do exactly that. So you can migrate them over time. I'll give you another sort of answer. We deployed Duo to 10,000 users in a weekend through self-service with 2 service requests. Now, it was a US company, so there's probably a little bit of overselling there, but the truth is Duo's really, really easy to deploy, and you'll find that your end users adopt it pretty quickly. If you can get a few in and running, when they use the when they start using the push, it sort of becomes like wildfire because it's so much easier. But the answer is yes, we can reuse your tokens. Any other questions? Great, I appreciate your time at the end. Oh, we've got one more.
Do you support YubiKeys as your tokens?
So the question was, do we support YubiKeys? Absolutely, we support YubiKeys. I'm not a huge fan, I have to admit, unless it's the right use case. So YubiKeys are great for, I think, administrators who are in the office and are going to keep logging into their devices. I've seen people sort of leave them in too long, But yeah, we use YubiKeys. You can come and get some from our stand. Great use case if you're an administrator, keep going into the same system and want a quick way of authenticating yourself. I think just be careful that people don't leave them in, would be what I'd say. But absolutely we support YubiKeys.
We actually use it for specific estates. We have some YubiKey.
Thank
Actually,
you,
they are
guys.
located on the top floor of our Stockholm office, so we get some for free.
Thank you very much for your time, guys. Please do come and visit us, stand B24. There's even beer on the stand to cool you down. Thank you.